Welcome to the Future of Ground Transportation podcast, where we discuss the exciting innovations that lie ahead for organizational ground transportation. Each episode, we cover topics tailored to those resolving transportation-related challenges and provide tips, tools, and trends that will inspire you to stay ahead of the curve. And now, here's your host, Daniel Perez.
Welcome to the Future of Ground Transportation podcast. Today, we have Mr. Will Graylin with indiGOtech. Will, welcome to the Future of Ground Transportation.
Thank you for having me, Daniel.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. So, Will, tell us a little bit about how you guys started in this sector, and tell us a little bit about indiGOtech, so that way all the listeners could get a little bit of context and flavor of today's episode.
Yeah, I got into the whole electrification side of it first as a customer, and I was early adopter of the Chevy Volt and earliest adopters of the Tesla Model S. And but as we move forward from 2010 at that time and on forward, I ended up investing in multiple companies into electrification, into drones, and one of the companies was Indigo Tech. And with Indigo Tech, what was most interesting was the invention out of MIT, which we literally reinvented the wheel, where Professor Hunter had created this smart wheel motor with 2 degrees of freedom, meaning it can do propulsion in each corner independently and active suspension to go up and down to create incredible stability and smoothness for a ride quality. But then beyond that, it enables a whole new flat floor because there's nothing obstructing in between the wheels, no motors, no transmission, no CV joint, drive shafts, and that frees up a lot of space that makes the vehicle even lighter for the same amount of space. That means more efficient, and also a lighter weight vehicle means a smaller battery, which then makes it even lighter and more efficient. So that concept was fantastic, and I loved the invention. But turning something from invention into innovation is a big, big step. And how do you go from these early technology through the valley of shadow of death onto the innovation and making an impact? That's the harder part. And to cross that chasm, I was asked to join and lead the organization back in 2020. And I have had multiple previous startups that went from invention to innovations. And since graduating from MIT with a couple of master's degrees, I've been doing nothing but that journey of taking inventions to innovation stage. And my previous 4 companies were all able to have made that journey. The last one being Loop Pay that became Samsung Pay. And so I've had this passion for next generation commerce, next generation transport. And as an investor and a board member, it became natural for us to really think about how do we take this technology and transform transportation, and where is the hockey puck moving towards. So where we've ended up is that we've decided to vertically integrate, because trying to get large OEMs to change their vehicle architecture to adopt a brand new technology, it's going to be very, very difficult convincing existing players. So we found additional investment. I personally invested into the company, and we decided to focus on this greatest growth area, which is next-gen urban ride, hail, and delivery. And how do we purpose build the kind of vehicles that I just talked about, that's more efficient, that's more smooth, into the next generation of EVs and AVs, autonomous vehicles, that can service that market of ride, hail, and delivery. And that's where we've been on this last 5 years in terms of a journey, with the hard R&D and development and invention from the previous number of years to get to that point. And now we're getting ready to launch a whole new vehicle coming out. But at the same time, we recognize that the vehicle is only part of the solution, Daniel, and charging is still a barrier. And how do you manage the vehicles and the drivers to fulfill a mix of delivering people, products, and food within a community is another major challenge. So we thought only technology, um, digitization of information, and vertical integration will allow us to create the best unit economics and the best user experience. So this is how it's transformed and we've evolved as a company to go from in reinventing the wheel to now reimagining transportation in a local community to take advantage of the best cost and unit economics all the way down the vertical chain to solve all the problems because people don't really care what's underneath the hood. They just care about how do you deliver those packages and deliver themselves comfortably, safely, and cost effectively. So that's our business. A transport tech company now that's born out of MIT. We have investors like FedEx, Foxconn, SK, and we're about to embark upon the next part of our growth. We have multiple parts of our business, from vehicles to charging to delivery services.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. So it seems to me, Will, that one of your main mantras is invention to innovation. So we're in that in yeah, so we're in the invention to innovation. What were the main hurdles that you guys experienced at the beginning, and what are the main challenges that you guys are currently experiencing as you guys continue to transition from that invention to the innovation in the current marketplace?
Yeah, as you know, especially something that's transformative to make an impact. As my MIT professor once said, that the difference between innovations and inventions is that inventions are the ones that made it into the marketplace, made mass adoption, and made an impact. And there are many, many inventions, but very few innovations. And it's because many of them will die out in the valley of shadow of death. And because that journey is very treacherous. So, as you just asked this question, everywhere along the stage, from early concept to proving out the technology risk, can this technology actually work? There's investment that have to be made just to make that technology work. And can you find the right people to help go, from concept to prototype, prototype to product? And that's non-trivial. And depending on how big of a solution that you're talking about, it may be capital intensive. And can you raise the capital for you to get from point A to point B? But making the product work itself is not enough, right? You still have to find the customers to make sure that it meets the customer's needs. Because if you're missing the mark for product market fit, you may die there on the vine also. So, but beyond getting from zero to one, you also then have to figure out how you go from one to N and one to many in terms of your distribution and your money model. I tend to think of it as the four big M's of success. M number one, of course, is the market. Are you serving the right market? Is the timing right? Are there already big incumbents? And if you identify that there's a compelling enough market, then there's got to be competition. So, which leads to M number two, which is, what's your magic sauce? You better have some serious magic sauce, whether it's a differentiated patented technology like us. We have 105 patents on our smart wheel technology and additional patents on our vehicle design, additional patents on our charging hardware and chargers. And so along the way is do you have protectable IP that is much better than the competition? So that's magic sauce. Assuming that you have magic sauce and you have the market, the third M is, do you have the right money model? And can you raise the right money to help you get from zero to one and prove it out? And then from one to N, What's your cost of acquisition of customers? What's your, unit economics? Because that money model and the unit economic is critical to creating value. And then the last M, and definitely not the least, in fact, it's probably the most important, is what does your management team look like? And can you have a management team, and especially leaderships at the very top, that can execute the first three M's and pivot the first three M's as needed to get from here to here, right? Get from inventions to innovation. So it's definitely not an easy journey, Daniel, but I've been very fortunate. My last four companies have all been able to make it from the invention stage to the innovation stage, and got mass adoption to putting it our invention into billions of mobile phones and smartphones, and so now we're trying to take our inventions that we've um, got at Indigo Tech, and then making it into an innovation that really impacts communities around the world.
Got it. Got it. That is very well said. And thank you for breaking it down with the four big M's. So going back into, you mentioned the charging and the obstacles with charging and probably maintenance and price point. Can you dig a little bit of the obstacles as you guys continue to increase your market share in the market? Like, what is the obstacles within the charging capabilities and maintenance for this
Sure.
vehicle?
So vehicles, obviously, there's a whole set of challenges that are there, and how do you make it cost effective? How do you lower not only the upfront cost, but also the repair cost, and maintenance cost. So I would say the vehicle side, there's a whole set of challenges to overcome, and we've been designing the vehicles very much, with the customer in mind, both in terms of total cost of ownership and cost per mile, fundamentally. Charging side, as you mentioned, also lots of issues over there, because the power that's provided to fleets in their locations are always limited. You don't have unlimited power, and setting up chargers is expensive. So we happen to have what we call smart power. We got 39 patents around this, with our charging solution focused on fleets. We acquired EverCharge last year, and we've now become one of the number one players, the top tier players, when it comes to helping fleets electrify. And that's because we have more experience than just about anybody else that's out there. We have big customers like UPS and Avis and Hertz and Amazon and even FedEx now. We've got just all these fleets, right? PepsiCo, um, and our experience in helping them set up charging with the same amount of power, we can install many more, 5 to 6 times more chargers for the same amount of power. And we have real-time load balancing, so that they can just plug their vehicles in and not have to have somebody waiting for that charge cycle to end. And if you have 200 amps, for example, and if you have 40 amp chargers, most people just put in 5 chargers. That's all you can do, right? Put 5 circuits. And when one vehicle is getting close to the end of its charge cycle, they're not using 40 amps. They're using 5 amps, 3 amps. So that's wasted power. Whereas we can do real-time load balancing. We can help you set up 20, 25, 30 chargers. So you can plug all the vehicles in, and then by the time the morning comes, all the vehicles would be charged and ready to go. So that smart power technology saves the fleets money, saves them from having to handle having to people to go and swap and unplug and plug, and so it's all about getting the uptime of the vehicles and saving money on a per unit basis, and getting better utilization of those vehicles. And we have the best rated chargers in the world right now. We have the first 55 degrees Celsius temperature rated chargers, because our customers demanded that kind of quality. And as heat is the enemy of chargers. And when we can improve the value of our charging solutions and lower the cost, it becomes a no-brainer why people choose us for our smart power, for our better charging hardware for level 2 as well as level 3. And soon we will be looking at even more innovative solutions that I can't announce yet, but by ACT show that coming up in a couple of months, you'll see us announce some even more innovative solutions that's coming.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. And as far as the price point, especially with all these electrical vehicles, how affordable are these vehicles, and where do you foresee the price point to fluctuate in the next 2 to 5 years?
Yeah, so depending on what kind of vehicles that the fleets and the transportation network companies are looking for, we can have anywhere from a low cost, $25,000 local electric vehicle that is focused on campuses and inner city travel for carrying people and packages. We can have larger vehicles that are somewhere closer to $35,000 for larger, similar size as a transit van, for example. And then also somewhere in between a what's called a mixed use vehicle that has the best in class space inside what we call the R1. And the smart wheel vehicles that we're coming out with after all the homologation, that's due out in 2028. And the next year, we're looking at the transit type of vans that are for local electric fleets. That's in 2027. That's the 35 to $37,000 range. And then currently, the smaller vehicle with about 90 to 100 cubic feet of space. That one is somewhere between 25 and $27,000. So that's the vehicle side. And then on the charging side, we have the best pricing on level 2 and level 3 chargers and the best quality with the most advanced technology, which is why the fleets are choosing us to be their supply chain partner and their service partner, because we keep these chargers also up and going, and our level 2 chargers are just, they never break, they just keep keep on going, and we provide the service to make sure that our fleet customers are happy and satisfied. And now keep in mind that sometimes people choose chargers um, that maybe from China, that's manufactured, or it's low cost, but you never know whether they will be fully compatible with the big trucks that you electrify. And we've had enough experience that we work with all of the major trucks. In fact, we've helped some of these trucks identify problems with their onboard charger, so that we make sure that our solution is compatible. If your truck is not compatible with the charging and you can't debug it, then the fleet is having a dead piece of metal sitting there not doing any good. So our job is to make sure that there's full compatibility between vehicle and charging, and we maintain the uptime. And there's one more thing that we do, which is one of our large fleet customers had originally started asking us, "Hey, can you help us identify and vary the charge load?" Because during certain periods of time, the electricity cost is much more expensive. And we like to just drop down on the charging and focus on times when it's least expensive. And then we can throttle the charging programmatically and smartly. And those are also things that we do for our customers.
Got it. Got it. Thank you, Will. And obviously, in this podcast, we normally like to talk about the future of transportation. So, with that being said, how do you foresee between autonomous vehicles, eVTOLs? Um, yeah, what's your perspective in the next uh, 2 to 5 years?
So we're still in the very, very beginning, Daniel. And just to put it in perspective, today, worldwide, there are about 4 trillion miles that are being driven by individual owners. And that's very expensive per mile basis, right? Because you got to not only deal with the vehicle, the maintenance, the licensing, the insurance, and of course the man hours to drive these vehicles. And when you combine all of not only Uber, Lyft, and Didi, and all these different companies worldwide, taxis, um, that represents roughly about 1%. There's about 40 billion of these ride hail miles out of 4 trillion miles. So that's only 1%. And when you look at where Waymo is today, Waymo is still the number one leader in the US. And then China, they have their own Waymo equivalents. Right now, Waymo does about 200 million miles per year. And they're striving to get to about 1 billion by 2030. So you can see in their most optimistic projections, we are still just scratching the surface and still early days. If we want to replace all of these dirty gas miles that gig economy drivers are delivering, our packages from Amazon Flex or, giving you Uber rides. So 90+% of those are still gas driven, individual owner miles. So how do we go about that transformation? Well, we have to get the unit economics down and the user experience up. And those are the key things. You can't just wait for government subsidies. You have to basically do things that are more cost effective. And the way that you do that is you create the right kind of transportation as a service TaaS. And that transportation as a service has to be electric. You have to move towards autonomy for sure. That lowers the labor cost. But you also have to make sure that you comply with what the local governments actually are ready and willing to accept at that time. Now we know it's inevitable; it's coming. But how is that transition going to be? So it's probably not going to be as fast as most people want. But at the same time, once it gets going, it's probably going to grow faster than most people think because it's nonlinear, right? This curve is going to continue to grow, but then when the inflection point hits, is when all the factors are there, meaning the city, the town is ready for you to operate. The police are trained on how to deal with these autonomous vehicles. The technology is good enough. We're getting there to be good enough. You can see places like San Francisco, Austin, but New York City is not ready to bring in autonomous vehicles and Waymo and Uber, right, or Tesla. And so there's still resistance until they really understand that this is going to fully work. So there's that period of time. How long is that going to be? Could be 2, 3, 4 years. I don't know. But you got to be ready for it. But in the meantime, can you create hybrid vehicles that's usable on both sides? And that's can be human driven and autonomous driven. And if you can do that, your vehicle utilization would go up. And I do think that it's a transition, Daniel. It's not going to be like flip the switch, and it's going to be city by city, town by town. And a lot of people just don't see that it doesn't happen automatically, and you need companies to handle not only the vehicles, the charging, the delivery infrastructure, the insurance, the cleaning, maintenance, repair, and all of that. The dirty work that most people don't see has to be done in order for this to really become a viable solution. And I still think it's going to be hybrid. You're still going to have to deal with people driving these vehicles and operating these vehicles in combination with autonomy until autonomy is ready to take over more and more of it, especially when it comes to massive package delivery, right? So eventually, humanoid robots will get to a point where they can take over more and more of these tasks, and then deliveries, including the mechanisms to sort packages even within a truck, to get to the bots for the last 100 feet. All of these are problems that still are yet to be solved. And while drones have its um, place and its type of packages that's suitable in its certain location where it makes unit economic sense, but in the many places, again, both regulatory as well as just plain environmental physics, those are not quite ready. Also, and of course, anytime there's a snowstorm or a rainstorm, you're gonna have to pause some of those services. And by the way, I would love to see all of these mature to get to where it needs to go. I've invested in a drone company that's one of the leading companies right now in Europe doing exactly that. But we also know that from here invention to here innovation, that chasm still has to be crossed, and it's got to be crossed by really strong, tenacious entrepreneurs that can navigate this landscape. And but look for innovations to come. Absolutely. So
Totally.
5 to 10 years.
5 to 10 years. Perfect. No, that, and I appreciate the context because every guest has a different aspect. Yeah, and guess guess it.
Let me qualify by saying 5 to 10 years to get beyond, you know, um, the single digit percentage to 10-15%. I think 5 to 10 years, if you can get to 25 to 35% of those deliveries being done um, using autonomous capability, then the next piece, you know that acceleration path, then will you start to get it to that fast piece of that acceleration path. There's always going to be edge cases, and there always going to be need for human intervention and humans, but over time that would definitely be replaced by autonomy, no question about it.
Awesome, awesome. And one question that I forgot to ask you, Will, in regards to the new administration in EVs, is that an obstacle that you foresee in the next few years?
No, the biggest obstacle is still the kind of obstacles that I shared with you earlier, which is all of the blocking and tackling, from regulatory issues to edge case issues to, making sure that you can create a solution that has the right unit economics. Because right now, as you know, Waymo has spent billions and billions of dollars to build, build that company, and there's still a lot of human intervention behind the scenes that people don't see. Teleoperators to address problems that are out on the road. But that journey is definitely um, accelerating right now. So I definitely see that the future is bright for autonomy. Um, but it's gonna have to be tackled location by location and use case by use case.
Got it. And the new subject that everybody continues to talk about, especially in business, is AI. And how do you see AI sort of accelerating either the overall process in Indigo Tech or just overall in the industry?
Yeah, AI is another one of those tools that are very powerful. And when people are given tools, we should learn how to use them. Just like the agricultural revolution, it used to be you rely on manpower to be out there doing the work. And and when you can leverage some of these tools, you'll see that the yield of work goes up. And I don't think you have to be afraid of losing jobs so much as how do you those who know how to use the tools better are more productive. And when they're more productive, they create more value, and the economy can grow in that way. And right now, I mean, if you roll back 150 years, vast majority of jobs were farming, right? Um, and for centuries has been farming. So where did those jobs go? And did there was a lot of people that freak out, if there's tractors, and then the industrial revolution and information revolution. So technology is not to be feared, but to be applied. So how do we apply technology in a sane, ethical way that that allows us to use these tools and think ahead rather than have unintended consequences. And it's not just about making money, it's about creating value. So how can you use these tools? I mean, I think these tools are fantastic, and it's just going to make us more productive. I'm using Claude 4.6 right now. I also have ChatGPT on that side, and I see the different models and the tools getting more and more sophisticated. And for those who are not ready or not willing to learn these tools, then it's almost like us digging out of a you know, digging our driveway out, right? You can use your hands, or you can use a snowblower. And if you use the tools, it's going to be serve you better. So I'm very optimistic about um, AI, but I also know that there are people that will also use that um, as a um, as a fear tool for them, for whatever agenda they might have. Um, and and I think that if you look at AI, the more we can share compute in a way that makes sense, rather than everybody trying to dominate compute and have this arms race for who's got the right model and burn a lot of capital. Why not do it together? It's just like the internet. Who owns the internet? It's not like one company owns the internet. The internet was really meant to be shared. And look at what the internet has done for us, right? Including the PC internet, the mobile internet. It's created a lot of good. And it's how do we build solutions on top of AI, leverage many of these models, create new tools to make us more efficient. And yes, I think if you have the world's um, information at your fingertip, if you have the ability for agents to help you do things, then the only thing that you're really limited by is your imagination. And even education can be done in such a way that you sign up the next generation of children have a master tutor right in their fingertips. So can they learn faster? But it's not just about information. It just doesn't make sense for you to store information in your brain anymore, like the old days of education, because any answer you can just pull up. Now it's how do you use your creativity to create value by solving problems? How can we teach the next generation on how to use these tools um, to be more productive, to get to know who they are as individuals and what their journey is destined to be, and how do we as human beings now live the next generation with all these tools to help us become a better version of ourselves, to contribute to society, and to become happy by being fulfilled, by doing something that is meaningful and purposeful. Because humans, we all want meaning and we all want purpose, right? And so if we can use AI to unburden ourselves for some of the more mundane stuff, then we can ascend to that level of consciousness, maybe even faster and better. So that's where I see AI is can be used as a tool. And of course, bad actors can use AI for malicious things. Right? And we have to have the right kind of security, privacy to protect us from the bad actors that will use AI for fraud, for malice, and because that's always going to exist. Also, it's just using different kind of tools. So I don't think we should fear technology, but I also think that we should guard ourselves from technology being misused.
Perfect. Now that's very well said. I love how you put it together. That pretty much is our limitations within our imaginations, which is going to be the new game of AI, because we all have the same access to technology, but the creativity and the imagination behind it is really, and the execution is really was going to be a game changer, the way that I see it. And just to conclude here, Will, what is the best business advice you ever gotten throughout your career?
I think it's always about going to solve problems that haven't been solved before, and go to the customers that you're trying to solve those problems with. Don't just imagine it on your own, but go talk to the customers. If you're a business, you're serving some customer, and the more closely you are able to understand the customer's pain and how you can address their pain and help them with their business, then you're creating value. All of us are here to create value, whether we're working within a company and we want to see how the company is out there creating value, or how the company, how you can serve the company, and serve your team and serve your boss, or if you're an entrepreneur, serve a customer that you're trying to win. Getting close to the customer is the number one advice. That be extremely customer focused, and then beyond that is knowing yourself and then knowing your competition. If you can know yourself well and continuing to improve yourself, and your competition, then you figure out how you navigate to better create value. So those are some advice that I've been able to derive from really good people that have passed those things on to me.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Will. And what is the top one or two books that you recommend the most that has the biggest impact on your professional career?
First of all, I'm a nonstop reader and nonstop um, learner, and I think I've got hundreds of titles on my audiobook list. The most recent book that I'm currently um, just finished, and I've shared this with my team as well. This book called 15 Commitments to Conscious Leadership. This was recommended to me by a friend, and this is also a great guide for teams and individuals that want to take it to the next level of being conscious leader. A lot of that is about getting to know yourself, getting to know your teammates, and getting to know how your team works and how to live up to these commitments above the line. In other words, being conscious as opposed to below the line, and letting our subconscious, our conditioning to very easily get rattled or get offended, and or prey to our own ego, and do things not out of love and creation. So if we want to be conscious, then we stay above the line. And oftentimes we're going to wander, and can we spot ourselves when we wander below the line and get ourselves back above? So this is also a great book that I would recommend.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for all the listeners, for the large fleets that might be considering new vehicles, how they can get in touch of your organization. I know we're going to put the your information on the episode notes, but what would be the best way to contact you or your organization?
Yeah, they can reach out to us on our website, indigotech.com, www, INDIGOTECH. And you can also find me on LinkedIn, Will Graylin. I'm also easily found there.
Perfect. Will, thank you so much for being generous with your time and for sharing so much wisdom. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
My pleasure, Daniel.
Hey, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed the episode and got some valuable insights. If you're curious to learn more, head over to the resource website, at dpvtransportation.com, where we got a ton of useful resources and tools for you to stay ahead of the game. And before we wrap it up, I want to invite you to book a free gas emission consultation or a consultation about your ground transportation program with us. Just register on our website. Is a fantastic way to see how your fleet is doing or how your overall program could be improved. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll catch you next time on the future of ground transportation. Have a great day.
Thanks for tuning in to the future of ground transportation. We appreciate you coming along for the ride. If you found value in this episode and want to hear more, please make sure to subscribe to the show.